Hello, everybody. I'm Helen, and I teach at the Dorothy Benson Senior Services Center. And today we're going to make I'm going to make a small Christmas tree. And you can use regular clay that needs to be fired, or you can actually use paper or air drying clay. Okay. And there's different types of air drying clay out there. You need the one that is um, kind of like not the Crayola, children's clay, but I think it's made out of paper pulp, but I'm not quite sure. But it should act the same way as regular clay. Okay, and you just don't need to fire it. Now on this one, I've got a hole in the bottom, and I'm still working on this one, but I'm going to put a candle inside. And since this is real clay, I can fire it and I can put a real candle inside, or actually I can take one of those little tea lights that are battery operated and put that inside too. Now, I didn't know what to do about the bottom. I thought maybe I needed to make a tray, but the bottom opening is large enough. I can actually get one of those glass, look like little glass cups or something, and that hold the tea light in there, and just put this on top of that. So I think that's a better idea than making a separate tray or little plate or dish or something. I do have to clean this up some more. And on this one, if you look, I have a bunch of pierced holes, okay? And I'm using the clay piercing tools. And I will get the kind that is just the brass. I think this is brass. That doesn't have a handle, because the clay accumulates in here. It's supposed to come out, but it really doesn't. I also have a bunch of these little tiny polymer clay stamps, I guess, cut out thingies. They don't work as well. I'm going to see if I can buy next time, buy the clay ones. Maybe they're more sharp on the edges or something, but I had a hard time pushing this through. And this is porcelain clay, but I still had a hard time pushing it through. Plus, you don't have a handle. And I believe the ones for clay have a little handle on it, so you can grab onto something and give it more force. Because when I try to push this with this, it kind of hurts here. So, I was able to do it, but still. And then maybe the edges need to be sharper because it pushed the clay in. So I have a lot of kind of dented the clay inside, which I don't like. Now, this one is kind of dry on the top. I added like a star, and it's kind of still wet on the bottom because I didn't dry it slowly. I need to dry it slowly. When I push the stars in, it actually cracked some of the clay here. I don't know if the crack goes all the way through or not, but it seemed to have cracked. So I'm going to try to clean this up and dry it very, very slowly and see if this will be salvageable. Anytime you make something out of clay, there's a lot of cleanup involved, okay? So that's what we're gonna do today. I'll show you from start to finish how this is done. And remember, the clay is gonna shrink a little bit, so keep that in mind, about 5 to 10%. Okay, this is probably, I might high fire this one, I'm not quite sure, because it's porcelain. And so it's going to shrink about 10 to 13%, and that's a lot. But I believe my opening on the bottom is still big enough. But the cracks is what I have to be concerned about, because at that high temperature that I'm going to fire, which is cone 10, the cracks might split open. So I may have to kind of re-moisten this and let it, the moisture content even out, and dry it very, very slowly again. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside, and I'll show you from start to finish how I'm going to build one of these. Okay, so I will put this over here. Okay, so what happened was I have a bag of recycled porcelain, and then I have a bag of kind of dry porcelain, so I had to wedge them both really well. On that Christmas tree, I just took a big ball of clay, and I just kind of started it off like a pinch pot. and try to, let's see. And I try to just make it out of just one pinch pot, but I had a hard time because when I do two pinch pots, I put them together and traps the air in, and I can shape the tree a lot better that way, I think. Okay, because when I did it this way, it was really hard to shape the tree, get it even in the way I wanted it. So I'm going to make two pinch pots. This porcelain is going to be a little bit hard for me to work with because it's a little bit softer than I thought I was making it. Okay, so I'm just making a pinch pot. You don't want the walls to be thick either. If you want on this tree, you can actually stuff it with bunches of, I would stuff it with toilet paper or paper towel, okay, bunched up. Not newspaper, but toilet paper or paper towels. And because it's a tree, you're going to be able to remove that paper before you get the piece fired. If you're doing the air dry clay, I think you can go ahead and use the toilet paper or paper towel. Now with the air dry clay, you can actually paint it once it's completely dry. You can actually paint it with acrylic paints, and that might be fun too. With the, however, don't put a real flame candle inside the air dry clay. That is not a good idea. Just use those battery operated tea lights. Okay, because that air dry clay might ignite on you and catch on fire. All right, so I'm getting this kind of thin. It's kind of a, not a round pinch pot, it's kind of a cone like pinch pot right now. And that's okay. I'm trying to thin out as much of it as possible. Okay, and let's see if I can even out the rim a little bit. Okay. It's a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. Maybe it might be a little bit too big. Sometimes if you get the two pinch pots and it's just a huge piece, it'll collapse on you. So you may have to stuff it with paper towel or toilet paper. I think I'm actually going to stuff this with maybe paper towel. I need something firm because when I try to use the cutout things, it pushed the clay in too much. So I may try stuffing this with paper towel. First, let's make it. So I'm just pushing this against the tabletop, trying to get it even as possible. Okay, so now I gotta do the bottom part. Sometimes I can get my fist in there. So it's going to have a seam on this in the middle part where it is joined. So you keep that in mind. Let's see. That seam area is going to be kind of thick, so we have to be careful with that. Okay. And the end product, right now we're going to trap the air between the two pinch pots, but later on we're going to cut off, open the bottom so you can insert a tea light in there. Okay, I think I got it pretty thin. I probably don't have to worry too much about the bottom because that's going to be cut out. Well, that's a bit wide. Gently tap it. See if you can flatten the rim. Okay, that's a little bit thin right there. Squeeze the clay, see if I can thicken out that area. Okay, the porcelain's a little bit harder to work with in hand building. It's just really picky. Okay, that's about, well, that one's pretty thin over here too. Okay, that's kind of close enough. Okay, so this is still kind of thick. Let me see if I can thin this out. I'm gonna try to make it a little bit thinner here because it's the comb part and it just naturally is going to be thicker here. So, okay, I think that's good enough. Okay, it's not the prettiest on the inside. I guess I could clean it up, make it smoother. But I've got it pretty thin, so it's starting to collapse on me. Okay, so this Christmas tree is going to end up being white. I saw one, I think it was a Swedish site, and it just, the Swedes like all those white colors in the winter. And it was really pretty. So instead of your typical green Christmas tree, I kind of like the white one. Kind of like an IKEA design, isn't it? Okay, that's pretty close enough. So I'm going to attach the 2 pinch pots and trap the air in there. Okay. So take that off, put it aside. And what I'm going to do is I don't have slips, so I'm just going to put water on here. Take my needle tool, which is dirty. My scoring tool, actually. This one has a bunch of prongs on it. Okay. And I'm going to scratch it up. Now, always put a barrier between the surface and your clay. Otherwise, your clay is going to stick to your surface. Okay, and then I'm going to add a little bit more water. Because I don't have slip, I'm just doing it this way. And this way kind of makes the slip right there on my piece. Okay, I'm going to do the same to the comb part. This guy is trying to collapse on me, so I have to be careful. Wet the rim. Okay, I'm gonna wet it again. Try to make mud here right on the rim. Okay, so it's pretty muddy. All right. See if I can seal it. Okay, there might be a hole somewhere. So we are going to take, this guy, okay? And we're gonna push down gently to seal it. Using 2 pinch pots and sealing the air inside, you can make a lot of cool things with it. Trapping the air just gives you a chance to manipulate the shape a lot better. Now I'm going to go from the bottom up. So I'm going to end up with a dent here because I pushed the clay together, and I have to fill in that dent with a little skinny worm, okay? Hopefully I've trapped the air in there. Okay, so this clay is a little bit too wet. So I'm gonna mix it with this clay that's a little bit on the dry side. Now, your tree doesn't have to be perfect. If you make it too perfect, it's going to look like you bought it at a store. And if it's not totally perfect, it kind of has a little bit more personality or character to it, which I like. Okay, you can even go to the extreme and make something that looks like a Dr. Seuss Christmas tree, you know, one of those illustrations. It's all wonky or something. Those are fun too. So this clay is just super wet. I'm just kind of trying to fill in that space here. And I'm being as gentle as possible, just in case there's a thin spot there and like burst open on me. All right, I'm gonna take one of my favorite tools, the flexible metal rib. Make sure all the clay is off of there. Okay, so here's my flexible metal tool. And gently push and pull. You really want to press pretty good. Okay, I can feel the air being trapped in there. But this porcelain's picky. It'll split open on me right away. So compared to regular clay, it's just really, really sensitive. So I have to be a little bit more careful. Okay, I pushed and pulled, and then now I'm going to try to smooth it out a little bit. Okay, a little bit. So it's a lot easier if you're one of your pinch pots is really a cone shape. You don't have to do as much shaping, okay? All right, so I got it pretty sealed up good. And right now the bottom is kind of round. I might like that. Okay, so I'm trying to even out the shape a little bit. And it feels like this part's starting to dry out on me, so I'm gonna wet it just a little bit. Okay. So let's go ahead and try shaping this right now. I'm actually pulling it up, trying to move the clay to go, trying to coax the clay into going up, okay? And because the air is trapped in there, it's holding its shape. This is a lot easier to work with than when I was using just one pinch pot and trying to shape it. It just seems to be easier when you trap the air in here. Okay, so right now I've got it in this shape, and you can also, when it's a little bit drier, not as sticky, use a paddle to shape it too. Okay, right now it's too wet. I'm gonna try to gently pull this up, see if that'll work. What I'm doing is kind of squeezing it and see if I can get it to move up. May not. I use this. And if you think the tip of your cone is too thick, you know, because it got squeezed. You can just shave off some of it. I'm gonna try to pull it up, see if I can coax it into. Okay, it's doing it now. Just need it to be just the right dryness that it'll stick to your fingers and pull. The clay will move up. Okay, so it's a little bit pointy here. I think I'm gonna have to cut that off. What I'm trying to do is just remove the thick amount of clay that accumulates here. Okay, I think that might be good enough. Round that up. Okay, now I have to decide on what kind of shape I want this tree to be. And I may take my paddle here. Now it's a little bit too wet for me to work with. But maybe I want to move some of the air on top. Trying to see if it'll make it a little bit rounder up there. Like it, push hard, squeeze hard. Okay, if you yeah, you need to squeeze a little bit at a time. Okay, not a whole lot at one time. Otherwise, you'll bust a hole in there. Okay, so the air is trapped in there. I'm trying to get it to be a little bit. I want it to go. Oh, it looks like it's growing. Okay, let's see if I can get it to. I'll take it off of this for now. So it feels like a balloon right now. The air is trapped in there. It's kind of fun. But if you're real careful and move it just a little bit at a time, you should be able to reshape it. Okay, let me see if I can get it to make sure I don't have a hole anywhere. I wonder if it'll work this way. With gravity, let's see if gravity will help. Okay, right now it's sopping wet, so the weight of the clay is still going to make the bottom sag. So what I'm going to do is let it dry a little bit, but right now, let me see if I can get the basic shape right. And then I'll just keep pushing this part. Okay, keep working on the shape as it slowly dries. Because it kind of sags, okay, because of the weight. Even if you put a paper towel in it, that might still do that. Okay, so just gently, gently, gently tap it. See if I can shape it a little bit. Just look at the profile as you tap it, okay, to get the shape. Okay, so I'm gonna let that sit for a little bit. And we need to make the star. I happen to have this is a Japanese cutter. It's really for like carrots or daikon or something. And it makes a nice sound. It looks kind of like a star, so I'm gonna use that. And just get a little bit of clay, make sure it's mixed up really good. And this is probably going to be maybe about 1/4 of an inch in thickness. Okay, you don't want it so thin it's going to break right off. It's not even, but it's close enough. I'm going to wet this so I get a clean edge. Remove this. Okay, so I've got that shape, and then kind of press it gently. My hands are kind of a little bit dirty. So it doesn't look too chunky, you know, like it's a little bit more softer. Okay, so it's going to need to be cleaned up some more. So I'm going to stick this on here, but let me let it dry a little bit more. I guess I should put it on a paper towel. And that way I can handle it better. Okay, so this guy's going to sit here for a little bit, and I'm going to keep working on the shape. If you really want it even, you can cut out a template out of cardboard. Let me see if I can demonstrate that. I don't have cardboard here, so I'll just use a piece of paper to demonstrate. Okay, so you're going to use cardboard, and what you're going to do is, let's see if I can do this. Okay, so let's say you wanted your tree to look like this shape, for example. All right. So we'll cut that out. This will be a piece of cardboard, and you would keep shaping it until it fits that shape. So this bottom part has to, this little rim is getting in the way, but this bottom part has to be flat on your tabletop, okay? And you'll keep shaping it and turning it, shaping it, turning it until it fits that shape, okay? So I'm not doing that shape, so I'll just, should, you know, if you make the shape first, yeah. So this guy's still sagging on the bottom. I'm just gonna lift him up a little bit. Trying to keep this top straight up and down. I still have the air trapped in there. I kind of want it not so wide on the bottom. So let me see if I can push it in a bit. Looks like it's still sagging, so I'll keep working on that. Okay, so I've got that guy going, and then I've got the little star I'm going to set aside. All right. What if you wanted to make a tree that isn't simple like this, and then actually has kind of like branches on it? So we'll get some more clay, and I'll make a tiny version because I'm not going to keep that one. I'm just going to make a tiny version so you can see what it looks like. All right, let's see. Right here. Sometimes if you buy a bag of clay and it seems like it's too hard, what you do is before you open the bag of clay, you just drop it on like a on the floor, drop each side, and it activates the gel that's in there, and it softens back up. Okay, but I'm in a condo, so I can't just go around dropping it on the floor here. It'll make a loud noise for my neighbor. Okay, so this one, you'll do it the same way, but I'm just doing a demo on this one. So I'm just going to do a tiny version of it and just use one pinch pot. Okay, so once again, I'm pressing against the table, trying to keep an even thickness. Okay. And you'll teach your hands to learn how to feel the thickness of the clay. Okay. Getting there. Now, sometimes my thumb isn't not going to be deep enough. I'm going to try to do it with this. I don't know if it'll work. I might be able to press it now. It doesn't really work that easily. Okay, so we'll just keep doing it this way. So the first tree, I made it this way. I didn't have two pinch pots, and it was really hard to get it to shape because I didn't have that air trapped in there. So I really couldn't shape it as well. It was kind of challenging. Okay. All right, this way was hard. And one of the things that happened was it was hard to keep the circle shape down here. You'll have to almost have a template. All right, so now my clay is kind of drying out. So I got, it's a miniature Christmas tree right here. Oops. Shape it. And the reason why this is hard to shape without the air trapped in there is because once you push against it, that's it. It doesn't come back out. You can't, you have to stick your hand in there to straighten it out again. Okay. So here we go. Okay, so this is a miniaturized version. All right. What you're going to need is pretty wet, pretty soft clay. Got some right here. It's a little bit too soft. Mix it with, it's a little bit too soft. Oops, my little point. So we'll be adding little round leaves to this one. Not round leaves, little Christmas branches. I think that's what they're called. And what you'll do is the bottom ones will be bigger. So you'll make a round ball. And if you want, if this looks like it's too dry, you can score it a little bit. Okay. And maybe add a little bit of slip. Okay. So you'll have that little round ball, and then you'll put your finger in there. And so this is much better if I had air trapped in here because I'm pushing against the tree. Okay. So that might be a little bit too thick. Maybe it will flatten out the ball a little bit. Okay. So let's flatten out the ball a little bit. Stick it on there. Okay. Usually when you push and do that movement, the bottom part kind of comes out. But if it doesn't, you can always move it yourself. Okay, so we'll do another one, flatten it out a little bit. Let's do a couple more of these. Yeah, I would recommend doing 2 pinch pots and trapping the air because it's when you push it, it's going to move. But this is just a demo piece, so I only have I don't have the air trapped in there. Oops, there was a hard part in that clay. I'm going to go here. Flatten it out a little bit. Now, don't go putting like 1 inch thick branches on here, okay? Okay, now you alternate, okay? You go, you put that not right on top of the first row, but where the two meet. So I'll put it where the two meet and then overlap and pull, okay? So this looks like one of those Christmas trees that have lots of snow on their branches. And if you make this out of air dry clay, instead of painting this, what you could possibly do, it's probably gonna look nice white, but you can paint it white, you can paint it green. But what you want to do is maybe a slightly darker green underneath and in between, and that'll give it more dimension. Okay, oops, that one was a little bit too big. Okay, you want to go smaller as you go up the round balls. See how cool that is? It really looks like you can have a whole little mountain scene going. These won't have the votive candle in it. You can do it that way, or that little tea light thing. What I would do is you still have to punch holes in it if you're going to do that, because otherwise the light won't shine through. Now I'm doing this upside down, so I'm probably like not getting this perfect, but that's okay. Okay, so you want to go a little bit smaller as we go up. I'm just doing this on one side so you can see. So your finger is doing all the movement here, like that. It almost looks like a cupcake or something, or icing or something. This actually might be fun to do with children. I don't know if they can do this, but. Okay, so we need to get smaller and smaller as we go up. I'm doing this upside down, so it's not perfect, okay? There we go. Just fill in those areas that look like they need to be filled in. This one probably should have been smaller. Okay, and it gets harder when you get to the tippy top, but you don't have to go all the way to the top because we're going to put a little star on there. So I'm going to try to do this one. You can also make a pine cone this way too. You just have to change the shape. Okay, so let's say I need to make a star. I'm gonna see if I can use it. Okay, I only have this real tiny, tiny star shape. So, oops, let's see if that'll work. Oh, I can't get it out now. Oops. Okay, my clay was too wet. Well, let's just say I made a really nice star, okay? You can score it and put it on top. It's a messy star right there. Okay, so let's just say you did that. Now, I would, if you wanted to put, like holes in it so that the light can shine through. So notice I didn't do the whole thing, okay? What you would do is, I would use the one that's designed for, this one's big. They come in different sizes. I've got a smaller one. Okay, so you want the light to shine through. Your tea light's probably going to be way down there. So you probably want more holes there. I'm going to actually, well, I'll try the small hole. Okay, where you would put the hole, and you will wait until it's a little bit drier, but do you see where I put the hole? Okay, let me try another one. And I'm wetting this every time, so, because I know the clay is real sticky right now. You will wait until it's a little bit more stiff, okay? So I've got holes there. Now, those holes are tiny, too tiny for the light to go through, so I'm gonna use my bigger one down here. And if you want, you can open up. Okay. And you may not want to put it on, make a hole on every, um, whatever this little thing, okay? So you may want to do it that way. Now, if you don't like these round kind of, what, branches, okay? You can kind of make it more linear. So you might want to make a shape like this. Okay, kind of flatten it out. I'll do it on this side. And then, right. So I'll do a couple more so you can see what that looks like. Okay, make sure you score or so when I press it like that, it makes them flip up a little bit. So if I were you, I would score this, okay, every one of these. Okay, see how it's flipping up like that? So I think you can see it there. And then alter. Okay. Do a little bit more so you can see what it's supposed to look like. Nope, that one didn't flip up. If it didn't, you can just kind of nudge it up. Okay. Let's do some more so you can see what the effect is like. And you want to be as neat as possible because it's really impossible to clean this up once you get all these on here. So make your pieces as neat and clean as possible. And what I'm doing here is when I press it against a tree, I'm removing the excess. Okay, so I got that much I removed. So once again, I'm doing this upside down, so I don't really know what it's looking like, if it looks all right or not. So I don't know if you can get the effect right there. Let me do a couple more. Oops. So these are this kind of shape. It's, more of a long linear, not round and flat. And get more of a different feel, I think. It doesn't look like there's as much snow on there. Yeah, this one is a lot more time consuming because you got a lot more pieces that you have to put on here. So when you smush these on here, it makes the little things flip up. You don't have to do that much work. Do a little bit more. See if I can get to the top. And if this was a little bit bigger, you might be able to make like a little cardinal or something, tiny little cardinal. Stick it on there. If you're using air dried clay, make the cardinals separately and let it dry, paint it red, and then glue it on to your tree. If you're doing clay that's fired, you'll have to put it on there, let it completely dry, and then if you have underglaze, you can paint the cardinal with red underglaze. Okay, let's see if we can get to the top. If you're also using air dried clay, and you can with underglaze also, I mean with regular clay also, you can get paint or underglaze, kind of thin it out, and get a spray bottle. And you can spray this, and then you get more of a dimension instead of like a solidly painted tree. I'm going to remove that star. It's in the way. So don't forget you get smaller as you go up. It's getting harder to do. Okay. If you want, you could make a tiny, tiny angel and stick it on. Okay, so this is what it looks like. If you use the skinnier, okay? And this is what it looks like. It kind of looks ugly right now, but it will have to be cleaned up once it's dry with the holes in it too. On this side, you're going to have to sneak the holes in wherever you can, okay? I wouldn't do it on every single, and you might have to use a smaller, let's see if I can do this. Yeah, you have to be careful on this one because you don't want to put a hole in every spot, just a few places. Okay, I put some holes in there. Okay, it looks really, you can see it really good on the camera right now, but in real life, it's, yeah, it's still there, but once you paint this or something, it shouldn't be that obvious. Okay, so that's your Christmas tree that, and this is just a smaller demo version. And I actually, well, I like both of them. Okay, but this one looks like it's got lots more snow on it. Okay, and this one looks like a pine tree. Okay, you can, like I said, you can also make pine cones. You just have to shape the 2 pinch pots into a pine cone and put these kind of guys on. I don't know why you want ceramic pine cones, but just in case you do. All right, so I'm going to recycle this because this was just a demo piece. Squish this up. If I'm going to make one like that, I would make it much bigger and take my time doing this little thing. So this guy is still going to require, okay, so let's say he's ready to I have to wait until not leather hard, then I can punch. But what I would do is mark where I'm just going to make like a line, and then I can make lines, and those will be my guidelines to help me punch those holes in there. So this star is still kind of wet, but I'll clean it up, and then I'll shape this. When I get the shape right, I'll go ahead and stick the star up on here. Okay, like that. I don't know if you can see that. All right. This tree is a little bit big. And once I can cut open the bottom, or I can go ahead and punch those and then cut open the bottom. I probably will let this stiffen up a little bit and then cut open the bottom, because I might have to press from the inside out because I don't have the sharp clay one. So for the stars, or I could just use my clay one and just make designs, by where I place the little holes. All right, so that's my clay Christmas tree. And this is going to work for me because I live in a condo. I'm not going to go get a Christmas tree. I have no space. So if you made several of these, it'll be cute for tabletops. Okay. And put a light in there. All right. Okay. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time.